Hi, 72 Daystar, and it's been a while since I did a walk-in blog. So, as usual, chatting with some Christians on the internet, one fairly receptive, tried to put on the air of open-mindedness, was very polite, but he tried to, he pursued a really problematic argument, in my point of view. It's where they try to say, well, we have objective laws, there must be an objective lawgiver. That's the short version of it. So I know exactly where he's going, and he's just tiptoeing his way in that direction, and I kind of cut him off short because there's so many problems with it. I want to focus on two. The two problems are an appeal to consequences. Just because not having an absolute magical lawgiver causes us to face some difficult questions with respect to what morality is, or with respect to, say, constructing a morally persuasive argument for whatever, for not killing people we don't like, for example, is irrelevant to the truth or falsity of the claim for God, that God exists. That's one. That's usually the one that I was happy just to stop things there. But I want to go one level deeper. So I was furnished with a good analogy, but it was actually used with respect to free will. Churchland, Patricia Churchland, she's a so-called neurophilosopher at Stanford University. And she used this analogy. Imagine you have an architect. The architect's making buildings, always presumptively with the idea that this is down, and presumptively that down is some absolute thing. That's down, that's up, and they're absolute. But later, we, using the collective we for humanity, learned that down and up are just relative to centers of gravity. Would it be reasonable for him to react in a way that said, well, then I guess anything goes now? If down is an absolute, then what? You stop making buildings in Churchland's analogy? Wouldn't we think he was silly? Likewise, I think when we lose the absoluteness of morality, it still doesn't take away the fact that if you do something that violates the morals and laws of your society, that people might find that reprehensible, that there would be ill consequences, and so forth. All it shows us really is that morality is really, really complex. It's not as simple as saying black and white, right and wrong. So I guess my question for anyone, I think this is open. I think more often than not, it's the Christians who talk about objective morality, but I've heard some atheists make arguments along that line. For me, objective morality makes as much sense as objective beauty. I think at the extremes, you can say that, what's a good example of something that's uncontroversially beautiful? The rose, a well-cultivated rose is beautiful, and a pile of rotting, decaying flesh is repugnant. And most people wouldn't argue with that, unless they're a little weird. But I don't think that's an absolute sense. It needs the subjective observer to give it any sense. Do you have a working definition for what objective morality is? Do you think that we can have objective morality without a God? Are they independent? Are they linked? Anything along that lines would be great. You could comment below. 72 Daystar, out.